This is lesson 1.3, Vobs, which stands for variables on both sides. Solving equations with variables on both sides. So your essential question here is, how can you solve an equation that has variables on both sides of the equal sign? Well, here our key idea is to solve equations with variables on both sides. Collect the variable terms on one side and the constant or the numbers on the other side. So let's look at this. We're going to solve 15 minus 2x minus 7x and check our solution. Okay, the first thing you got to remember is you can only do stuff on the same side. Even though you see two x's, you can't combine them because they're not on the same side. So we've got to move them over just like we moved other numbers over. So right now we're subtracting 2x, so we do the inverse, which is to add 2x. So that we've got the variables on one side of the equation. Those will cancel out, and I'm left with 15 is equal to negative 5x. Now we still don't have our x by itself. It's being multiplied by a negative 5. So to get rid of that, we have to do the inverse operation, which the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So we're going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. Those will cancel out, and I'm left with an x equal to negative 3. So let's put that in real quick to check. If I plug in negative 3, I get 15 plus 6 is equal to 21, and of course, 15 plus 6 is 21, so that is equal. So it checks out. That is true. So let's try another one. Don't get scared just because you see fractions and parentheses and things like that. The first thing you're going to do is to distribute. That way we can start solving this and moving things over. It's just a matter of moving things over. Don't complicate things. Just take it step by step. If you're looking at this, remember negative 2 times x is a negative 2x. And then you're going to take the negative 2 times the negative 5, which is going to be adding 10. 6 times 2 is going to give you 12. And 6 times 1/2 x, well, half of 6 is 3x. See, so already looking a lot more simple. Just break down your steps and we'll be fine. We're going to move the x over, so let me add 2x. It doesn't matter whether I add 2x or move the 3x over. You'll end up with the same answer. So those cancel out, and I get 10 is equal to 12 minus x. Okay, our next step here now is to go ahead and get rid of this 12. So it's a positive 12. Don't be fooled by that minus sign back there. So I need to subtract 12. Those will cancel, and I get negative 2 is equal to, now you got to make sure you bring down that minus sign. Because we've got to make sure we look at that. And remember, that's the same as having like a minus 1 out front. So we're just going to divide by a negative 1 and get that x is equal to a positive 2. Let's look at another example here. Draw our line. Remember, we can't combine if they're not on the same side. So we're going to move this over and go plus 4x plus 4x. Those are going to cancel out. And I'm going to have 3 on this side. And I've got negative 7. Oops, wait a minute. Those cancel out. So now I've got 3 is equal to negative 7. Now we seem to have a problem. Because when we ended up subtracting that, I eliminated the variable. But now the question is, can 3 ever equal negative 7? No, this is not true. Therefore, there is no solution to this equation. No solution exists that would make this statement true. So let's look at another one here. Again, we're just going to simplify. This side's already simplified. Now looking at 4 times 3 halves, remember, we can cross simplify. 2 goes into 4 2 times, so we've got 6. So 3 halves of 4 is 6x. And then 4 times 1 is going to give me 4. Now I'm going to subtract the 6x to move the variable over to one side. Cancels out here, so I've got 4. Cancels out here, and I've got 4. So now I have 4 equals 4. Again, I've eliminated the variable, but this time I ended up with a true statement, because 4 does equal 4. When that happens, there's infinite number of solutions. Okay? Infinite solutions. That's what that symbol is, infinity. Infinite solutions. So now let's look at these. It says here that the two circles are identical. What is the area of each circle? Area. Well, if you remember, area of a circle is pi radius squared. Alright, so the circles are identical, so the radius of each circle is the same. Well, let's see, the radius of the top circle is x plus 2. Because remember, radius is half of the circle. Well, this has 4x going across. But if I wanted to, this part is just 2x. And this part is 2x, right? So if x plus 2 must equal 2x. So let's solve our equation, move the variable over. That eliminates that, and I get 2 equal to x. Alright, so that means that our radius is going to be x plus 2, or 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. So we know the radius is going to be 4. And remember, the question asks us not for the radius, but what is the area? So we got to pay attention to what the question asks. Area is pi 4 squared. 4 squared is 16, so you got 16 pi, which is right here. Our answer is C. So let's look now at a real-life application, though. A boat travels X miles per hour upstream on the Mississippi River. On the return trip, the boat travels 2 miles per hour faster. How far does the boat travel upstream? The speed of the boat on the return trip is x plus 2 miles per hour. So, but we know here that the distance upstream is going to be equal to the distance downstream. Right? I mean, you're going the same distance. Okay, it says that the distance upstream is going to be, it's going to be rate times time. Okay, upstream took 3 hours, and our rate is x. And now that's going to be equal to our 2.5, our rate downstream, 2.5, times x plus 2, because it was 2 miles faster. Because you got to remember, distance equals rate times time. Our rate is x, return the downstream is going to be x plus 2. Upstream, the rate is x. So now let's solve this equation. First, we're going to distribute 2.5x and 2.5 times 2, remember to pass it to all of them, is going to be 5. Now I'm going to subtract my 2.5x here to move that variable over. And I get 0.5x, those cancel out, equal to 5. So now if we divide by 0.5, we get that x is equal to 10. So the boat travels 10 miles per hour for 3 hours upstream. So it travels 30 miles upstream. So the distance is going to be 30 miles. Rate times time. Go ahead and show me your notes, and then get your clever assignment done.